Hi, I'm Jonathan Fanning, founder of Entrepreneur Adventure, where we help young people to experience entrepreneurship. I also own the Fun Bus of New York, and most of my background is in leadership development with Fortune 500 companies and small entrepreneurial ventures. But companies like Ford Motor Company and Lockheed Martin and Duracell and The Gap and Certainteed and St. Gobain and Freudenberg NOK, and then a lot of small entrepreneurial companies. I've had the chance to work with some great leaders in my career and study and try to apply what makes the best into the best. And I want to share with you a video series that I call Who Are You Becoming and Who Are You Helping Those Around You to Become? And it could be as a parent and who are you helping your kids to become or your spouse to become. It could be as a leader in a business. Who are you becoming? Who are you helping your team and your peers to become? It could be as an entrepreneur, but who are you becoming and who are you helping those around you to become? And it starts really with something that happened to me that changed my whole world, my whole perspective. As a freshman in college, I had it all figured out. And perhaps some of you have been there. You've had it all figured out. But I had a professor, sophomore year, intro to engineering class, and he says, as a test grade, we are going to study, learn, and apply the principles of aerodynamics. What makes something fly? And simply, we're going to fly airplanes, paper airplanes, off of the top of a 3-story building during class in May, one day in May. And if your plane stays aloft for 15 seconds, you get an A. 14 a B, 13 a C, 12 a D, 11 or less, you fail. You get an F as a test grade for that class, a third of your total grade, I think it was, as a test grade. So he says, okay, you have 6 weeks to do this project. The first week, second week, third week, I relaxed. I needed to rest up. The fourth week didn't do anything. The fifth week didn't do anything. The sixth week, the day before, I built my paper airplane. But I invested about twice as much as it typically took me to build a paper airplane. So I'd built paper airplanes before, so I invested 2 full minutes to construct this. And I'd built plenty of these before. All set. Bring it to class the day of the test, and by the day of the class, I was all of a sudden I was a little embarrassed, and I was embarrassed kind of from two perspectives. One, from my own perspective because my plane was so simple, but really, I was more embarrassed for my peers in this engineering class, because they had spent hours in the library reading books on not just flight, but how humidity, wind, temperature, all these things will affect their aircraft the day of the class. So they'd be ready. Heavy, rainy day, they'd be ready for what adjustments need to be made. And I had my plane. So actually I tucked it into my notebook, folded it in half, tucked it into my notebook so I wouldn't embarrass them, I think, when I brought it to class. We go up onto the roof, 3-story building. It comes my turn, I take out my fancy plane, and these students had 5, 7, 10, a dozen or more sheets of paper connected together into these huge structures with, some of them had rubber bands, paper clips, different counterweights. Almost every one of them had adjustable wings so they could change the flight pattern. And a lot of the students had brought friends to help carry their plane to the roof, and they're carrying these things up so delicately. And I have my notebook. Comes my turn to fly my plane. We had the whole class to get this 15 seconds. Take my plane to the edge. Beautiful sunny day. Walk towards the edge, stand there, and I take it and I launch it. It's going great. And then it turns left, dives into the ground. 9 seconds. That's an F. 11 or less, F. All right, still got it all figured out. I walk kind of briskly, got it all figured out, down the 3 flights of stairs, go out into the field, pick up my plane, and this time on the way in the door, I walk up 1 flight of stairs. I know there's a computer lab on that first floor. I walk into the computer lab, open up one of the printer drawers, take out a sheet of paper, and I bring it up. And on my way up, I'm folding it into a second plane, thinking 2 shots per trip up and down the steps. We have the whole class. My turn again, launch my first plane. This time I adjusted a little bit because it turned too much to the left. Launch it again. It looks like it's going good. It goes up a little bit, and then it dive bombs. 7 seconds. Take my second plane that I just less than a minute, probably 20 seconds while walking up the steps built. I take it to the edge, I launch it, it does a nasty spiral left, but then gets a gust of wind, and it's in the air for about 10 and a half seconds. Still an F, but I have a little hope. This time I don't walk briskly down the 3 flights of stairs. I jump, I leap the steps 2 or 3 at a time, down 3 flights, out in the field, pick up my 2 airplanes, stop at the same computer lab, open the same printer drawer, and I take out the whole stack. I mean, it had to be 60, 70 sheets of paper. I take out the whole stack of paper, bring it upstairs with me. My turn again, 15, 20 minutes of the class are gone by, maybe a third of the class is done. Still have time, but I'm getting a little nervous, a little sweat from running up and down, but a little sweat from the anxiety. Never failed a class in my life. I don't think I'd ever failed a test in my life even. Walk to the edge, fly my first plane, looks all right, goes down like 10 seconds again. Fly my second plane, that one's a disaster. And this time I think, you know what, I can rush to build the next planes, or I could build them slowly and take 2 minutes each. But then I have this idea. I take a sheet of paper, I hold it up, and I stand on the edge, about 3 foot high concrete slab around the edge of this 3-story building. I stand on the edge, I hold that sheet of paper up, and I let it go, and it flutters down, and it's fluttering pretty good. But then a little gust of wind, it goes sideways and goes dive bombs. But it was in the air for 9 seconds, and I think, that's it. That's it. So I have the stack of 60 sheets of paper. I take the next one, let it flutter. Not so good, 6 seconds. Take the next one, 10 seconds. Take the next one, 9 seconds. I keep doing this. And then finally I take this sheet of paper, I let it go. The sun's shining. The warm heat off the pavement of the sidewalk, radiating air flowing up, right? Hopefully, I don't know. And from my in-depth 2-minute investment in this project, the sheet flutters, and it catches a nice little breeze and flutters up. 11 seconds, 12, 13, 14, that's a B, 15, 16. By this point, I put my hands up in the air. Victory, B for victory. I did it, I got my A. Got it all figured out, freshman. Got my A. 17, 18 seconds, that plane, that piece of paper is in the air. I'm done. So now we've still got some time left in class, 15 minutes or so. I'd go over to help offer my advice to some of the other groups that haven't gotten their A yet. The end of the semester, finish that class with the highest grade in the class. Ask my professor, would you write me a letter of recommendation? No problem. I go to pick it up in the office, it's in my file, open it up, take it out, 1 sentence. Thinking, okay, but it could be a great sentence. He does consulting work on the side. I'm thinking this would be great for getting an internship, or maybe if I transfer to another school, whatever, it'd be great. Read it. Jonathan Fanning has a lot of talent, but does just enough to get by. JFK, John F. Kennedy, has a great statement. It says, if you'll accept second place when first is available, you'll tend to do that with everything in life. See, once in a while, we need someone to come along. I have in my life, to come along and tell us exactly what we need to hear, but maybe not what we want to hear. And that professor had done exactly that. He was a mentor to me in that moment. Now, I didn't use the word mentor as I read that piece of paper. Actually, I think I used a couple other words. But he told me what I needed to hear. Ralph Waldo Emerson had this phenomenal sentence. He said, the chief want in a person's life is for someone to help you and I to become who we can be. Who are you becoming? My professor had challenged me to become who I was capable of becoming. See, he realized that 15 seconds was not my potential. And I had just done enough to get by. I wish a week or two or a month or even a year later, I got that lesson completely. But I still think about that. And I still think, am I going for what I'm capable of, or am I going for the 15, the A, what someone else in the world has told me is an A? And that's my challenge to you. That's my challenge to you. Who are you becoming, and who are you helping those around you to become? And are you raising the bar on yourself and on those in your world? So I want to give you a little challenge with this, and then I'm going to offer you a whole video series that's going to go into this and the character traits of becoming. But the challenge is this: when we obsess around something, we tend to do well in it, get the result we're looking for. My challenge is for you to obsess around that question: who am I becoming, and who am I helping those around me to become? And obsess around it all day, today, for the next few days, maybe even for the next week, And if you're brave, do it for a whole month. But every single day, take notes. Who am I becoming? Who am I helping those around me to become? You sit down for lunch with a friend, a family member, a spouse, a child, whatever. Who am I becoming in this lunch? Am I fully present? Am I a person inspired by a vision? Am I a person with energy? Am I a person who's patient, who's empathetic, who's compassionate, who's fully present with this person? And who am I helping those around me to become? So that's my challenge. Obsess around those two questions. Write down a couple notes each day on how am I doing with that. Jonathan Fanning, founder of Entrepreneur Adventure. I hope that this serves you. Thanks.